Okay, okay, let me start today's lecture. Hello, everyone. I'm In Yoon. I think it is our first time to meet you. By the way, if you don't have any special issue, please turn on your camera for me so I can see your face. Today, I'm gonna talk about Visual Studio Code, the editor that you will use to write your program. If you have any question, feel free to interrupt me. Visual Studio Code is a lightweight but very powerful source code editor. This is developed by the Microsoft, and it supports most of the platform that you are using. For example, Windows. I'm using Windows. I used Mac OS, and Visual Studio Code also support it. It also supports Linux. It has a very rich ecosystem of extensions for other languages. So you can make an extension for any other languages. It is very kind of easy to develop. It supports very good development environment using the JavaScript, TypeScript, and Node.js. By using JavaScript and TypeScript, you can build your own extensions. For brevity, we call Visual Studio Code as a VS Code. So, and many people actually are called as a VS Code. I think you have heard about other editors, very famous editors, for example, Vim and Emacs. I want to say Emacs and Vim are also very wonderful source code editors. Honestly speaking, I'm using Vim when I write a code, and there are many people who use Emacs. Actually, my PhD advisor uses Emacs, and they use their own Visual Studio Code. Then why do we want to teach VS Code in this class? The first thing is that it is easy to start. I have no idea whether you have an experience to use the Vim or Emacs. When you open it, I definitely sure you don't know how to write even a hello world. You need to get familiar with that because it has some keyword and command that you need to know to write a program. But VS Code is much more intuitive. So it is very easy to get familiar with. So that's why we recommend you to use the VS Code when you start to learn the program. And the another thing is that it has a better GUI support, graphic user interface. Vim and Emacs are originally designed for the character user interface, which means that it can work without having some graphical interfaces. So they have some other extensions that support the GUI, but they are very limited because of their original design is for the CUI. But VS Code, when they design this program, they target this good GUI experience. So they have better GUI, and I believe most of you are more familiar with GUI. So it is better to start with the VS Code. And the another one is that the better cross-platform. Vim and Emacs are mainly designed for Nix platform. For example, Linux, Unix, and those kinds of Nix platform. They have some extension for the Windows, but it is not as powerful as you run these tools on the Nix platform. But VS Code focuses on the cross-platform. So that's why they decide to use a JavaScript and TypeScript, which are the cross-platform language for their extension. So you can use the same tool, VS Code, and the most of the functionality in the Linux, Windows, and Mac OS app in everywhere. So that's why we recommend you to use the VS Code as a start tool for writing the code. So from this slide, let me show you how you can do that. Please check your slides while see this see my screen. So let me share my screen first. Okay, yeah, this is one. Okay, so how you can install the VS Code. So if you type just a VS Code, you will find a website code.visualstudio.com. Okay. And then you will find this page, and according to your operating system, you can choose whatever you want. For example, currently I'm using Windows, so let me download it for Windows. So it'll take time. And let me install it. I had the VS Code, but I uninstalled it for this class, so I need to install it. So yeah. Then after installation, okay, you can launch the VS Code. I think that's very trivial when you write a code. And when you launch this VS Code, it will look like this. And let's try to make a one file. To make a file, you can click this new file, and you can have a file type. Here, let me use the text file. And what I want to do is that I want to write a hello world program. So let me type stdio int main printf hello world. Okay. So after you write this, you want to save this file in your program. So for that, what you need is that you need to save it. For that, you can click the file, and there is save. So you can save it. Let me save it to my desktop. Hello.c. Okay. As you can imagine, most of the commands have the shortcut. For example, the save file is Control S, similar to the other application. So you can save this file. And let me explore this VS Code interface. This purple line is what we call status bar. And it shows some status. It shows some kind of status information about your program. Here, LN is a line number. So it says my cursor is located at the line 4 and the column 1. And if you are familiar with the programming language, different programming languages use the different number of spaces for their indentation. Here it says spaces 4 means that I'm using the space 4 for my indentation. And when I write a text, I need encoding. Currently, I'm using a UTF-8, which is one of the most common character encoding. I'm using that for writing the code. And there are several other status that you can see from this status bar. And there is called an activity bar. In this activity bar, you can choose several options. The first one is what we call Explorer view. If you click it, currently I create a file, but without opening a folder, so it does not show me anything. But let me choose this folder, my desktop folder. Oh, by the way, when you open a folder, you will see this kind of warning message. The reason is that actually this description tells you is that when you open a file with the VS Code, you should open a file with the VS Code. If you trust the author, then you can select this. Otherwise, you should select the second one. The reason is that when you launch the VS Code, the VS Code will use a files in that directory and do some more rich process. If the author is malicious, then it can cause some serious impact in your computer in terms of security. In a more concrete manner, if you select this option with the malicious folder, then your computer can be hacked. In other words, your computer can have a malware. So you should be careful. If you download source files from an untrusted author, then you should not select this. But currently, this is my desktop, so I trust myself. So let me choose that. Okay, so if you choose that, then Explorer view will show you the files and directories which are located at that folder. So you can click it and you can open it if you want. Okay. And there is another option called another view called search view. If you click it, then you can search a string that you want. So let me check it. So for example, in the hello world, for example, I want to search the hello. Then that will show me the hello and all the files that contains the hello. Yeah. Here in my desktop, I have many files, so it shows me other outputs too. What it does is that it gives me the hello. It allows me to search something. And when I want to replace it, I can put it here and I can replace it whatever I want. So I'm going to replace it. And here is an option called replace all. I want to replace all the thing in my hello.c. So if I do that, you can see hello.word is changed into the byword. And if you want to cancel what you have done, similar to the other application, if you click the Control Z, you can revert your change. Okay. So this is what search view does. And there is a source control view. This is something that you can use when you use the source code control system, for example, Git. I think we will talk about this in the later in our lecture. So let me skip this. And there is a run view. If you set this the launch.json, you can customize your run and debug, but I will not explain this in today's lecture. And there is an interesting one called extensions view. In this extension, it has a lot of things that help you to write a program. So for example, So I already installed this C++ the extension. This extension actually allows me to have this kind of syntax highlighting, and also they check the errors. For me, it allows several important features when I develop a program. So, for example, if you are working with some other language, you need to install the appropriate extension for that. For example, if I want to write a program within a Rust, then I can find an extension that is for the Rust, and I can install that. If I want to write a program with a TypeScript, I need to install the extension for the TypeScript. But it is very difficult to remember everything and understand where some command located in your the command bar and this view. In VS Code supports a very interesting utility called a command palette. So if you put Control-Shift-P in Windows, then you will see that this bar will be shown, and you can search any command that you want. For example, if I want to see this extension, I can press Control-Shift-P, and I can find the extension. Then it shows me all the command related to the extension in this palette. And for example, if I want to do some search, it shows me this kind of all the commands related to the search. And if I want to delete something, then it also shows me all the option, all the commands related to the delete. So when you use the VS Code, you want to do something, but you don't know how to do that, please use this command palette. Then this command palette will let you know what you can do in this VS Code. As I said before, similar to other application, VS Code allows you to use a lot of shortcuts. So when you start to use the VS Code, these shortcuts are very useful. So you don't have to remember all the things, but some things that you believe are useful, I recommend you to use the shortcut instead of clicking or using the command palette. That will speed up your programming. And if you don't know the shortcut, this VS Code also shows the shortcut if they have some. So this command palette would be very useful when you use the VS Code. And I think I talked about this extension. And this extension also allows you to have what we call IntelliSense. IntelliSense is that if you put some keyword, it tries to find the matching one. So for example, if I want to write a printf, even I typed a PR, IntelliSense try to find some function or the keyword matching with this prefix and tries to find it for me. So this is very useful when I write a program because I don't need to put the printf all the thing. I put PR, and if I type enter, then it will be autocomplete. So that's why we need to install the extension. Another useful extension is remote SSH. I already installed this remote SSH. What it gives you is that it allows you to create, modify files even in the remote server. So for example, after you install this remote SSH, turn on this command palette, and you can find connect to the host, remote SSH connect to the host. Then in here, if you type your ID and the server name, then you can connect to the server. Sorry, I need to do. So if you do that, Lecture3 then it will connect to the your server, and it asks you to put your password. So let me put my password. Then you can see here that unlike the previous one, it in the status bar, it shows eelabg12.kais.a.here. So this Visual Studio Code session starts to access files in that server, not my local directory. So if you do the open folder, you will see that this is not the folder in my local computer, but it is the server computer. So here is my server, and I can write or I can write and I can modify files in the remote server directly. So for example, so you can see that this folder and the folder in here are exactly the same. So you can see I can modify a file in the remote server. Let me create a directory here. And I want to open it. If I create a new file here, then so if I create a file here, you will see that in the remote server, that file is created. So you can see this is the file that I created using the using this VS Code. So by using this remote SSH extension, I can write a program in my remote server without using the Vim or Emacs, but using the VS Code in my computer. Okay. And after I write a code, how can I do the compile? So in here, there is a, can I find where is it? There, if you go to the view, there is a terminal. If you run this terminal, it will give you the terminal in your remote server. So this is the terminal in my server, so I can compile it here and I can also test it. After I compile it, if I say hello, this is hello world. I want to empathize the file that I create and the console terminal that I executed are all run on top of our server. So using that, you can do the programming and debugging using the VS Code. So one tedious thing is that when I launch the VS Code, and if I do the remote connect, I should type the password again and again. So when I do that, I should do that. If after I close it, if I connect to the server again, I need to type this password again and again. This is quite tedious, and if your connection is disabled, you have to type the password again and again. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can avoid it. One way you can use is that you can use the public key crypto, and you can create an SSH key, and if you store it, then you can use it without. After you store your SSH key in the remote server, you don't need to type password anymore. So let me show you how you can create a password SSH key and register it to our server. So I think most of steps are similar regardless of your platform. So let me explain it in let me use the Windows as an example, but I think in most of cases, regardless of your platform, if you're using Linux or Mac OS, other things would be similar. So first thing is that you need to launch your shell. So currently I launched PowerShell, but you can launch, for example, the Mac OS shell or Linux shell, whatever you want. And there is a command called SSH keygen. This is a program that creates an SSH key for you. So if I type the SSH keygen, it says it will generate a public-private RSA key pair. RSA is one of the most famous public key crypto algorithm. You don't need to understand their detail, but there is some encryption algorithm there. And it asks me where I want to save the key. So let me use that. I already have the key, but for this exercise, let me just override it. And it tells me to put the passphrase. I don't want to put the passphrase. After that, you will see that my key is generated, and this is some random art image related to this key. You don't have to know what it means, but one thing you need to know is that our key is created. Okay, so where our key is created, our key is created. So I put my path. Our key is created C users insu.ssh, and this would be our key. So let me check it. So here, if you see that, you will have the IDRSA and the IDRSA pub. Those two files will be exist. I have several other files, but you don't have to understand what they are. If you launch this SSH keygen, IDRSA and the IDRSA.pub will be created. IDRSA.pub is what we call the public key. So this is something that we will register in our server. IDRSA is what we call private key. In other words, it is secret. So you should not reveal, you should not show this private key to the someone that you cannot trust. So you should not give this secret to anyone. Please keep it as a secret. When you register your SSH key, you only use this public key, not the private key. Private key should be stored in your local machine. You should not move it. Okay, that's our public key, and I want to register this public key in my server. How can I register it? That is quite simple. Copy this ID rs.pub and put it to my server .ssh authorized keys. So let me connect to that. Let me go to .ssh. If you don't have this folder, please create it. And copy paste this file, this public key in, this name is important, authorized keys. Create this file and put your public key there. Okay. And after that, the thing that you need is you need to set the permission. So in slides, we already give you this permission, just copy it. First, set our permission for our SSH folder, and we need to put our, we need to change our permission of the authorized keys. That's the thing that you need to do. That's done. We copy our public key to that file, and we set the permission, then it would be done. How can I check whether my setting is correct? If you launch this SSH, do you see any difference? Previously, when I do the SSH, I need to type my password. But after I register my SSH key, I don't need the I don't need to put my password when I connect it. This can happen. The reason is that our SSH connects to our server and do some authentication using our key instead of our password. So I don't need to give the password, but authentication is done by our key. Okay, so this is the setting. After you set, let me connect to our server again. Do you see any difference? I could connect to Lecture3 without any password now. Okay. So the reason is that I successfully register my SSH key. So authentication is done by this SSH key. So I don't need any SSH key connection. I think that's the most of the thing that that I want to explain in today's lecture. So let me use this the VS Code to start EE209 assignment. I think we are working with assignment 1. I think there is a typo in our slide. What's wrong with our server? I don't know what happens to the server. So I don't know why wget does not work, but I copied this assignment1.tar.zz using the SCP. So assignment1.tar.zz is there, and what I need to do is that I want to create a directory for my assignment1. I want to copy this one to my, I want to move this file to assignment1, and I want to extract a file from there. Okay, so then you can see there is a test and tools would be exist in this file. Then how can I start my assignment? So first, I need to connect to my server, and I want to open the folder that I just created, assignment1. Then here you can see there is a folder and the tasks are there. So to start my assignment, I need to create a file whose name is wc209.c. Okay. So here I can start my assignment from here. And after I create my program, I can open the terminal and I can compile it. Oops. I can compile it and I can test it in this terminal view. Okay. As I said before, there is a way that enables you to run and debug using create a launch.json file. There is the VS Code supports some feature that makes it too easy to do the run and debug using the launch.json. But in our lecture, we just want you to use a terminal to debug and run the program. The reason is that we want you to get familiar with the Linux environment. So please use the terminal for debug and compile your program instead of using the launch.json. But if you want to, you can do that. But we do not support this launch.json for you. So please use terminal if you are fine with that. Oops. I will upload this video so you can check those. Okay, I think we finish our today's lecture. Do you have any question regarding the today's material? No. Okay. Okay, good question. So tar the GXF and GVF when unzipping tar.gz file, GVF, as so far as I know, it shows some kind of logging message, it will show the logging message. And so far as I know, V stands for the verbals. So, and as so far as I know, if you use just the GVF, you cannot unzip the tar-ZZ. The reason is the X stands for the extract, the decompress, unzip. So if you do the tar minus GVF, it does not work. If you do the GXF, it will work. What V does is that it will show you what are the extracted files. So do you see the difference? If you launch a tar without V, it does not show you which files are extracted. If you give the V, it gives you the logging message that which files are extracted. Yeah. If you want to know more about the tar, I think man command is always help you. So man tar, they have some documentation that shows the meaning of the options there. So the homework for today's lecture, not this, yeah. The homework for today's lecture is you need to record a video that shows you that you can connect our server without putting the password. Your video should look like this. Connect to the server, and you can see that it does not show me the password prompt, but it shows me that I can connect to the server. Your assignment is that you need to record this video and you need to submit it to our KLMS. The deadline is 11:55 p.m. On September 30, which means the 11:55 at the next class. Okay. Yeah, it should be ELAB G12 or 13, not ELAB 5. And some of you may feel trouble to record your screen. One way you can do is that you can use the PowerPoint. Let me show you. So you can record your screen using the PowerPoint. In PowerPoint, there is an option there. If you go to the record, sorry for Korean. If you go to the record, there is an option called a screen recording. If you click it, it allows you to record your screen. So I can select an area that I want to record. And after that, if I put this record button, then I can record my screen. And if I click this stop button, then it will be recorded like that. And after that, to save it in a media file, you can click a right button here, and there is an option called save media in a different name. So you can click it, and you can put your video in some place that you want. That's one way that you can record your screen. You can capture your record your screen. Oh, I did not know that the sound is also recorded. Yeah, by the way, you can use a PowerPoint to record your screen. Okay. I think you can follow the same instruction that I did and using PowerPoint to record your screen, and you can submit it. If you have any question, then let us know through the campus wire. Yeah, just the final outcome. You don't need to show me how you set up your the SSH key. Ihan, what do you mean the name of the program? Oh yeah, that is PowerPoint. So and one Jeon asked me, why do we need to compress file twice with the tar and CG? This is kind of historical one. Tar is not actually something that compresses a file. What tar does is that the tar collect files and make them into one. So this is what tar does. And what gzip does is that it compresses a file. So when you create a compressed file, actually this is, it consists of two procedures, merge file and the compressed one. Tar gg is the related to each process, merge and compress. So that's why they had this kind of two procedures when they developed this compressed file. This is kind of historical one. And nowadays, most of the, the compressed file merge these two procedures into one. So, but this old tar gg, they had these two separate procedures. Okay, so do you have any question? If not, maybe we can stop our today's lecture. Okay, no, then.
Professor?
Yeah.
I am the student who asked the difference between tar ZXF and XBF.
Yeah.
The reason why I ask is that when we do the assignment in EE 209, so would there be a significant difference when we unzip the assignment file with either ZXF or XBF? Would there be a significant difference?
You mean the GXF and just the XF?
XBF.
XVF.
Yes.
Okay. GXF, as so far as I know, what GXF does, G is gzip, and X is extract. I cannot remember what was the F, but just ignore because both of them have the F. XVF, V stands for the verbose, and the X stands for the extract. So the difference between two is that the first one tries to do the gzip decompress, and the second one will show you the files that they try to extract. This is what the verbose means. But if you use the XVF without Z, and so far as I know, the tar command's default behavior is that if it is compressed with ZZip, even you don't have the Z option, even you don't have the G option, it still tries to decompress it with ZZip. So minus GVF is equal to the minus XVF is equal to the minus ZVXF. Okay, so the difference between these two are only the V. So the V is the option that shows you the extracted file. So that's the only difference. So except for this login message, I would like to say they are equal. So you can use either any command that you want.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, so then maybe we can stop here. I think we have a YouTube link, YouTube playlist. Let me check. As so far as I know, we have a YouTube. Is there anyone who know the link for that? Yeah. Yeah, that link. I will upload there. Okay, good. Then see you next week. No, see you. But we have class next week though. Yeah. Okay, then bye-bye.